Hey, it's another day. Today we're gonna get back on the Riviera, try and maybe finish out this quarter panel. If you remember, I patched the lower quarter panel on the last video on the Buick, and I pointed out that there's a little bit of rust in here that I found. I got to check out. I think there's a spot somewhere in here. There's rust right here, and there's rust down here on the rocker. So I'm going to try and take my 7-inch sander and I'm going to cut a bunch of this old primer and stuff off and see about patching that up. So stick with me because we're going to get on it. See if I can do that a little better than that. Let me go find my little die grinder. All right, after that little grindy grind, let me show you. I like to grind the paint and primer and anything like that off that I can, to try and reveal anywhere there's any rust, and that rust will show up in little dark spots and things. I'd inspected the quarter panel on the inside of this, and the upper part of the panel is perfect actually, but some of the edges are kind of rough. So let's look at what I found. If you get to looking right here, you can see where there's some little brown spots right there, and that's rust that's through the panel. Okay, as we go along up here along the edge, there's a couple of spots that are questionable, like right there. And then when you come up here and look, you see that spot right. You see that spot right there? That showed up when I got the primer and stuff off. So when you keep looking, you come around, you see this spot right here, okay? And you come down and there's that spot right there, which I could see before, but as I ground off, this spot showed up, this got bigger, this corner showed up, and then down here at the bottom, when I got to looking, I knew this was here, but as I got to going, I found this right here. So, and then also along this edge, see if I can show you. Can you see the little dark spots right here and right there? That's got some Bondo in it. So they had those little pits and stuff in it before, and they just Bondoed over it to smooth it out. Same thing right here. Same thing right here. Same thing right here. So I'm probably gonna have to fix this whole edge of this body line right here. But like the piece between that body line and this body line is in really good shape. So I'm gonna have to patch. I'm gonna poke on this. There's a dark spot here and a dark spot here. I'm gonna poke on this and see what I can figure out. I may be able to just patch this in spots, you know, just in the spots that it needs it, instead of having to patch the whole panel. I'm gonna check that out and see. The pain that comes with repairing this thing is just the body lines on this thing. It curves out this way. You got the curve here. I got to looking at the lip, and there's spots like right here. It's rusted through, and this edge is rusted. So I'm gonna have to cut this out. Let me back up where you can see better. I'm probably going to have to cut this little section out and check the inner lip, because I can feel some of the inner lip is bad, like right there. It's bad on the inside. And as I feel around, so what's probably going to happen is I'm going to have to cut this lip out and look at the inner lip. When I feel the inner wheel well, the wheel well itself doesn't feel bad, but the edge of that lip feels pretty rough. So that's what we're dealing with. Unfortunately, on the other side, it's a little worse. So when I get to the other side, I'm probably going to have to cut a big section of this lip out to patch the inside wheel well, because it's bad up on the top part and not on this front part. So this isn't going to be real fun. That's the bottom line. Just because of the way the body lines are. It's not a flat panel or a panel that's just got a little slight curve to it. It's got all kinds of contours to it, and turns and dips and bends and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be just like I've done before. Probably do it in smaller sections, because like I said, this whole panel, this whole quarter panel was stamped out in a 200 or 300 ton press that stamps the whole piece out at one time. You can't get replacement quarter panels for this. The only part of this you can get is the bottom of that rear quarter panel that I patched down there. That's all you can buy as far as quarter panel patches. So all this I'm gonna have to fab up. So stick around with me, and we'll go get this done. And I forgot to say at the beginning, hey, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for following. Thank you for watching me. Thank you for supporting me. I appreciate it. I'm so glad that you would come back and watch me. So thanks. So let's stick around. I'm gonna set the camera up over here, and I'm gonna try and figure out what we got to do and where I want to attack this thing first, and then we'll go from there. So hang with me. All right, guys, after further inspection, I took my little screwdriver. I got a little Phillips screwdriver. If you got like an ice pick type thing, whatever, something with a little sharp small point on it. So I like to go around sometimes and check, because it's small enough, if there's a soft spot, it will indent, or it'll go through if you got a rusted area. So we had these spots right here, so I came along and poked on them, and they got some stuff behind them. But if you listen what it sounds like, when you get to that soft spot, you hear the difference, the way it changes right there. You know it's soft right there, and it'll go through. Same thing. So I come down the fender and get into an area over here. Let me see if you can see it. Right here, where we found those spots, when you come down, you hear the change in that tone. That's where it's thin, and you poke right through it. When you get up here where it's solid, that sound changes. It's a duller tone. So there was a little bit of a crack right here. When I went to poking on it, it ends up coming down here. Now the other thing I figured out poking on it is when I poked through, where was it? Down here. I poked right through the inner wheel well. So I know I'm gonna have to cut this section out, probably up to here, and take that whole section out and patch the inner wheel well in there. The thing I did find out poking around with this is along this edge where I found these dark spots, that's all solid and it's surface rust. This car originally had trim that ran along that body line all the way along this body line. So that trim caused some surface rust along this edge. And whoever had the car before, they welded up all the holes. So some of this is where they welded. So it's all solid along this edge. So I don't have to mess with that. That makes me happy. But down here at the bottom, see if you can see a little better. Down here at the bottom, it did have a soft spot here. And it has a soft spot down here. The rest of this in the middle is in real good shape. But I don't know if you can tell, right here there's a line. This is where they put the quarter panel together with the rocker, and that's a lead seam right there, just like we had on the roof. So what I'm gonna have to do, because this spot right here is right on the line of the lead, and when I go to patch it and weld it, you can't weld that metal against that lead. So I'll have to melt this piece of lead out of here, this section of lead out of here, clean it up real good, figure out how bad or how far this way my bad spot is. As you can see it, it's got some bad spots. So to do my patch. So bad news, I got inner wheel well that I gotta fix through here. My rusted area is a little bigger than I thought, but this edge right here, this body line right here, I don't have to mess with. I'll wire wheel this out, clean it, and make sure it's treated real good, and then put some epoxy primer back on it later when I get all the metal work done. So, but that's the good news part here. That's the bad news part here. So just wanted to show you that because I did a little further inspecting, and that's what I found. The little dark spots that were along this edge are the same thing. They're the trim holes that they welded up, and so there's some pitting there, or it's just surface rust from the trim that was on it. So it's all solid. I don't have any problems with this edge until I get right here. And actually the edge of this is in good shape. So that makes me happy that I don't have to worry about this outer edge. I will have to worry about this lip, but this section right here, I'm probably gonna have to cut the entire piece out and patch it. So just a tip that I use, like I said, just the way I go about doing it. Not saying it's the right way or the best way or a good way or anything like that, but I try and figure out, get a little more information about where I'm going to have to work. So it, like I said, it gave me good news, it gave me bad news. That's just the way it goes. So stick with me, I'm going to start getting on it. Here's what I'm going to do. First off, I'm going to cut a little section of this out right here and see what it looks like, clean it up, and then just make a little patch for here. And then I'm going to move on over here and see what kind of mess we can get into right there. But let's I need that. I need my mask. I mean, dadgummit, my shield. Let's see if I got a smaller cutting disc. Let me see. Let me see if I got a smaller disc I can cut there. Well, that's not gonna work either. try this a different route. I don't know if that's gonna work. What's killing me is this curve. I can't get the blade inside there to cut. There's not enough space for my blade. Okay. Well, let's just grind it out of there, I guess. I gotta figure this out because I'm gonna have the same problem over here. What the problem is, what causes problem, I don't know if you can see the little stuff, that is some factory seam sealer. And it's different from what we seem to have today. This is, it's porous. And it tends over time, you can see this kind of disintegrated. And then what happens is because it's porous, it holds the moisture. When it holds the moisture, what's happening here, when it holds the moisture, it causes the rust. So what I'm trying to do now is clear out all of that factory seam sealer that I can. I'm trying to get it off the back side of this metal. That's why I got my little pick here, trying to clean the back side of this metal, because when I go to weld in that patch, if that back side's not cleaned, it's going to be a dirty weld. And not that I'm a real good welder to begin with. That's what the problem was there. I'm going to spray some rust killer in there, treat that, and while that's going to have to dry, I'm going to move over here and cut this out. Now, let's move over here just a little bit. Tell you what, I might need to make me a pattern on this. Go get my ruler. Right on a 1/2 inch body line. Kind of widens out just a touch down there. So, what should I do? Tell you what, I think I'm going to try and make about 9 inches right there. I think I'm going to try and make this piece first and fit it and make sure there's going to be good fitment there before I go and cut this out. I'm going to have to replace this inner edge on this. I can see it. So I'm going to go. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a 9-inch piece that's going to bend a 1/2 inch this way, and then let me find a good spot here. About 7/8 of an inch in. Then I'm going to put it in my shrinker stretcher and I'm going to bend this. And so I'm going to make this inner lip and this body line right here to fit on there. And then we'll cut that lip out, and then I'll try and make this piece. I may make that before I cut it out. I may try and make this piece to fit, so it's all fitting in pretty tight before I cut all that out. So let me go do that. So I'm going to make this. Y'all seen me flange and bend in the shrinker stretcher and shape and form, whatever. So I'm going to make this, and then y'all don't need to watch me do that again. And then I'll come back and try and kind of show you how I'm going to do this inside curve, because I'm really not sure at the moment how I'm going to make it, but I'll show you how I do that. But let me go make this piece first. I'll be back in just a minute. Alright guys, got my piece made up. I forgot, not only does it curve this way, but it curves in this way. So I had to stretch it on this edge, and I had to shrink it on this edge to get it to fit up. So that fits up. I got my mark right here. I went a little over past where the rust part is, just in case it extends past that. Gives me some little leeway. So that's good right there. Now I'm going to mark the edge of this. Now, what I have to account for too is when I cut the metal out, when I cut this metal out, it's going to sink in this much more. So I'm going to have to trim this edge off just that much more, or it'll be out past my line. So gotta remember to do that. I'll have to trim that off. Let me measure that. Yep, just barely over the half-inch mark. No, it's a little over half-inch at the bottom. The bottom's okay. So I'm gonna trim this down just a little bit. That'll be good right there. Gives me just like a little bit of gap. That'll close up when I cut this metal out. And I need a little edge of space there anyway to weld to. It would be just a really thin little gap there. So that looks good there. I'll have to come back and pop my holes in here, just spot weld in here, and alright, that piece is done. Set it right there. Now, same amount. It'll be just a little bit shorter piece, because what I'm going to do is it's got a little rust right here and it comes out, so I'll fix that separate. So I'm going to go from this body line right here around up to there. And that's the piece I'm going to make. So that's what, that's 7.5. Let's do 8 inches on that. So let me go get a piece of that. Alright, so I cut me a little piece. It's a little longer than I had measured, but bending it into the shape of that curve is not that big a deal. Like that. So there, I got something that matches that line right there. The problem is making it do this. I got the line. Now I have to make it swish in. So what I'm going to try, I think my bead roller is set up for it. Let's go here to the bead roller. Got these set of dies, and what this does is put a curve. It's going to curve down around that die. Well, let's see. I'm going to need to make it go going that way. It's got to go this way. So, well, let's see if I can screw this up. See if I'm plugged in. Not plugged in. Let's see. It's got to switch that way. Right. Here goes nothing. Let's see if I can screw this up. I got scrap pieces just for this purpose. See what it does? See if we can run that through there again. See, I kind of kept my shape. Now I'll have to tweak that shape just a little bit. Let's go see what it does. Well, I'm close. But you know what? I forgot about this curving this way. So that covers what I need to cover right there, I think. I may try and run it through again, but after I get my let me see if I can bend that with the stretcher. Hang on, let's see. So, put it in the stretcher and give me a little more curve. That's what I'm looking for. A little more curve. And granted, this piece is too wide, but I'm trying to work with it. Seeing it flares out this way at the bottom. So if I got that, flares out, got that, looking pretty good actually. I need to get this to bend this way now, so I need to put that in the shrinker. And when I put it in the shrinker, it took all my curve out. So now I got to go back to the stretcher and try and put my curve back in. So I'll go to the stretcher and put my curve back in. So now I got curved this way and curved that way. Oh yeah, that's looking more better right there. More better. Let me see about turning this down. Let me see if I can turn that down. Okay. So then I just put the bottom piece in the shrinker, and it made it curve this way. Which is kind of what I was looking for right there. Now real quick, I'm going to go run it back through my bead roller again and see if I can clean this edge up. Alright, let's see how this looks. See, I kind of clean that edge up a little bit and run it through that bead roller. So, alright. So when I did that, see where I lost my curve? So, I need to stretch it right there. Stretch it. Get my curve back. Stretch it just a little more up here. And then I'm laying nice right here. And nice up there. It needs to curve in more there and flare out here. So I'm gonna stretch this edge right here, and I'm gonna shrink this edge right here. And I may have done it too much. And when I'm fitting this, I may have to hammer this in down here. That looks pretty good right there. A little too flared out. And if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm using my my lift for an angle. Let's see if I can trim this down to the patch that I need. Actually, it's curved too much. Let me level it out just a little bit. Now I need to turn that. It's coming straight down this way, so I need to turn this bottom edge that way. So I'm going to put that in the stretcher at the bottom to see if I can get it to turn. Gotta finesse it just a little bit. Yeah, that's a little more better. Still gonna have to hammer this edge in just a little bit, I think. Attack. Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. Twist a little bit. Twisted it the wrong way, I think. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. It's right there. Wow. Yeah. Now we get oh, fumble fingers. That's looking a lot better. It's a lot of trial and error and fit and refit. And just takes a lot of time. All right. A little bit too much. I'm trying to get it to where it's all laying flat. You see right there where I'm pushing on and it's not flexing anywhere? That's what I'm trying to get to. And then I'm going to have to trim this edge right here to get my final fitment, I think. It looks good on the back side. So, get my marker. Trim where I think it's going to need to be, or mark where I need to trim it at. See, it's laying flat, not moving around. It's fitting pretty good. So, let's do. Let's trim that up. Trim that up real quick. On my line, looking good, looking good. Right here, I probably need to trim just a little bit right there. Look at there. How's that for a patch? Trim that bottom edge just a touch. Better mark that to make sure I don't trim that the wrong way, huh? Because I almost did. Alright. Now there's my patch. Like I said, I got one little spot right here. When I get all this in, I'll come back and cut that little spot out and patch that separately. There's the patch. So, now I'm going to mark it. Alright. So that makes up my two patches. This piece here, which goes right there, and this piece here, which goes right there. And remember, there's a little gap there right now, but when I cut that metal out, this is going to sink in and this is going to come in this way. It's going to fill that gap. So, and I got to remember too that I need to cut on the inside of my black line so that I don't cut it too big. Alright, let's see. Mark the back side of that. Alright. Now I can get to cutting this out. We'll start on that. Move this stuff out the way. Probably going to have to drill the spot welds out. Let's see if I can get some of this out without doing that. Ooh. Yeah. Just go ahead and cut that lip off right there because I'm going to have to patch that inside edge. So I'll go ahead and do that because it's toast. Yep. Got a hole in my glove right there. That ain't gonna be good when it's hot stuff. Alrighty then. Well, good edge there. Good edge there. I may have to cut down further on this. Fix that inner wheel well. Doesn't go very far. Nevertheless, it is farther than where I have cut out. Get some more of that dadgum factory seam sealer in there. Alright. Well, it would appear I'm okay right here. If I clean that up, cut that edge off, it's rotten. So I think I'm going to have to go ahead and cut this. And I may have to come down below that and make another patch down here. I really didn't want to have to do that, but pretty good right there. I got lucky where I cut it. That's where the rust stops. All right. Well, I don't know how well you can see that. Let me get you down here. See, this edge is all laid up and it comes down below this. So I'm probably gonna have to cut this out down here and cut this tip off. I had to fix this anyway. It was a hole right there. So I was gonna cut that out anyway. So I might cut down here and come out here. And I'll have to make a small patch right here. So never fails. Always worse than it appears. Let's see how this is all gonna fit in real quick. My patch right there, patch right there. So there's it just sitting in there, so it's good, it's close. Now for that inside piece. Alright, well, battery run out. Anyway, I cleaned this up. This looks good. I'm not sure what I missed when the battery gave up on me. But I need to fix a piece up for this. And it'll be a flange piece, comes out, angles back in. I'm probably gonna have to cut into this down here. I think I might have said that already, but I'm thinking I'm going to have to cut this down here, and cut this, and take this little section out so I can get far enough past this rust, because it comes down past where I've cut out. So let me go cut a flange piece and get that shaped up real quick, and then I may come in and cut this out. So stand by. Okay, I trimmed this out. I cut down a little bit lower right here, and trimmed this out, and I cut out the rust. I made a little piece, and as you can see, it's got all kinds of little curves and notches and stuff in it. So I just bent a flange. It's a piece of scrap, shrinker stretcher. I made it curve this way, plus it curves this way, it curves this way, and then it kind of got some shape in it there. So I got it trimmed out, fitted. It's gonna go in like such. When I get it in here, I'll get it in there to lay a little better. It's gonna go in there. I'm gonna tack it in place. I'm gonna clean this up real quick. I'm gonna squirt some rust converter all up in here, and I'll let that dry a little bit, and then I got to clean it, and then I got to put this in. So it may be a minute before I can tack this in. Well, I guess I could clean it, tack it in, and put the rust converter on it after I get it tacked in. So, because I can still get to it. I don't know anything. So let me clean this up a little bit more. All right. Get my welding machine ready to tack that in. So stand by. Alright, well there it is. Oh, let's get this around here. There it is. I'm not going to cut that weld all the way back. I'm going to leave it as much weld there for strength. Not the prettiest thing, but hey, it's solid. So now, I think what I'm going to do, I got to go cut. I got to go drill my spot weld holes out for this. So I can put that in, like so. But first things first, I guess, I need to treat that. I need to spray up in there and treat that. Then I have to let it dry while I'm cutting my holes and stuff, and spray some paint primer or something like that on there. I got to get see if I got some tape left or something and tape that off so I don't get my metal all dirty. So stick with me. Well, as usual, there's always something. I got this treated and I put some paint on it and the paint's drying, and I went to tack a spot. There was a hole, a little bitty pinhole right here in the inner fender well. So I went to tack that, close it up, ran out of welding wire. So I'm gonna shut down, go to town, get some welding wire, and then come back, and it's late in the day now, so I'm gonna shut it down for the shop today, go get this, and I'll be back in the morning to finish this up. So it won't be but a second for you, but it'll be tomorrow for me. So see ya the next day. Well, after editing last night, I made some notes about my my face shield. Me trying to show you stuff didn't look real good through my face shield. So I promise today and from now on, I'll try to do better. I'll try to remember that that might be an issue in where I place my camera. So I apologize for that. So now I have got this is all prepped, painted. This is all prepped and painted. I have the pieces for this already. So what I'm about to do now, I think, is going to go ahead and tack these pieces in. At least the two pieces that I have made. I have to make this piece down here, and I have to make this piece over here. So but real quick, I'm just going to tack these in. So let me set the camera up, hopefully where you can see me or see what I'm working on, and give me just a second. Alright, I'm going to try and get this tacked in real quick. Maybe this is a better camera angle. Taking my straight edge, make sure that line is straight all the way back to here, and that looks really good. Now let me see. That's gonna fit. Get some magnets to help me out here. Look bad. It doesn't look bad, but I got a little bit too much material right here, which would be fine, because if I cut this a little bit right here, Gotta let that come in just a little bit. I can twist that in. See, because I got a gap right here. But I think, well, I don't know. A little more gap right there than I wanted. I think I need to trim this outside edge a little bit, maybe, because I can feel that gap. Because I'm going to be good, my gap on this side would be pretty good. So let me trim this outside edge off right here, and then I can work that in with a hammer. A marker. Do that and see how that's going to work. Almost. Touch just a little bit more. That's good right there. That's actually fitting good right there. Maybe there. Just a touch. See if that wouldn't tack real quick. Alright, there's that piece welded in. I'm going to make this piece real quick, and then I'm going to template this little piece here, and I'm going to go ahead and tack those in. Y'all don't need to watch me tack those in, and I'll grind it and then I'll show you what the finished thing looks like, and then we'll get on this lower piece of this rocker. So stick with me for a second. Okay, well, here's the finished product. If you remember, there was a hole right here. I made a little patch, fixed that, and then down here there was still an opening left here and on the edge, and I made the little patch and fixed that. This video is getting kind of long, so I didn't figure y'all needed to see me make those two little patches and weld them in and everything. You saw me weld everything else in, but everything's finished welded. I ground everything down. Hang on. Ground everything down and sanded all my spots. It's not perfect. It's got some little way. There's a little low spot right here. And you come down, there's a little low spot right there. And there's a little wave right here. And then on this corner, if you can look at this corner, my body line was good to right there. And so I got that off just a little bit, but a little bit of spot putty or some finished putty, clean all that up, make that look good. The video was getting a little long. I edited last night, and so we're gonna stop with this looking like that right now, and the next video I'll do this lower rocker and we'll get started on the other side. But I don't like to do, I don't like to do more than an hour, and this one's going to be just a little over an hour. So I watched some other guys and they got, you know, hour and a half, 2 hour videos. To me, it's just too much to watch at one time. I like to watch several different of my shows that I have on subscription on YouTube. I like to watch those, the you know, 40 minutes to an hour, maybe an hour and 5 minutes or whatever. So that's what I like to do. I hope y'all enjoy this, and like I said, I'm trying not to go over an hour on my videos. This one may go an hour and 5 or something like that, but we're gonna call this an end. Hey, I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. If you could like, what is it, like, comment, subscribe, and share. I always forget about the share one. So if you can share it, maybe I can get some more subscribers. It's like I said in the, I think it was the last video or the one before, I'm close to that 1,000. I never thought I would reach that 1,000. I'm close to that 1,000, and you know, they say 90 to 93% of YouTubers do not ever get to 1,000, and so at least 7 to 10% that make it to 1,000 out of the, I don't know how many, you know, content creators there are out there. But the little competitive side of me wants to be in that 7 to 10% that make it to 1,000. That's just me. So if you can help me, I would very much appreciate it. So like I said, like, comment, subscribe, share, ring that bell so you get notifications when I put out new videos. But for this one, that's it. Hey, get out there and save them old rides. Get out there and work on these old vehicles. Save a part of history. You know, don't look down on yourself. Don't look down on others. Always keep your head up. So until next time, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for supporting. Thank you very much for following me. I really do appreciate it. See you later. Bye.